mean, I would say long term, I don't want to fish the rest of my life. I want to eventually be the one having the boat. So that's
That's
kind of
good.
the path that I'm going towards. I'll graduate from college in the May of next year. So that'll be good. I'm
You're
not sure after that. Yeah.
graduating early.
That'll be, well, no, I'm a rising senior. I'm just young for my grade.
And how did it start out? Like, what was the origin story?
Too much alcohol.
Really? Okay.
Says if God wanted us to have fiberglass boats, he would have given us fiberglass trees.
It's for fishermen. It's not for taking the wife and the wife's friends.
I think that it's a really, really pretty boat.
And then there was a blur that went by and ended up in the cockpit, as far as if I can remember correctly.
Welcome everybody to the State of Sportfishing Podcast. My name is James LaGround. I'm here with Tye Lalik from the Outer Banks. How you doing, Tye?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just got out of a long day at the boatyard. So happy to be sitting down. But
you see. Well, Tye, I gotta always ask because, you know, me being a young guy coming into this industry, starting when I was a teenager, you know, my dad growing up around my dad in the industry. I want to ask you, how'd you get started?
I mean, I started like anyone else, you know, fishing ponds for bass and all that. I originally grew up outside of Richmond, Virginia, so I was landlocked for a good portion of my life. So grew up fishing for bass, and then we started going over the eastern shore of Virginia, which Chesapeake Bay. We did a lot of sight casting for cobia and bottom fishing for flounder, red drum, all of that. So I was doing that since like 07, I would say. And around 2018 is when 2018 is when I first got offshore. And we had a 22-foot Grady, my family did, Grady White, like cuddy cabin boat. And we got it offshore one time with a bunch of borrowed 50s and caught a few tunas or whatever. And after that, I was like, all right, I'm never going fishing in the bay again. It was totally like I was brainwashed after that. So the following year, we went a few times, and the following year, my dad bought a 25-foot Grady center console, outriggers, twin outboard, you know, Yamahas. So pretty reliable boat. We ended up eventually getting a tower on it, so it was completely rigged up. But we just started going on that, and we rented a house down here for a few months during the summer, and we started going a ton. And we, you know, beginner's luck, we were instantly super successful. I mean, the first trip we had, you know, 2 huge tunas, and you know, basically just killed it. So after that, we were like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. No more bay fishing. But in 2018, I guess I moved down here after, like, I was still in high school, so I moved down here for the summer, and eventually met a guy named Jimmy Hillsman, who is like part owner at the Ocean's East Tackle Shop right down the road from here in Nags Head. So when I graduated high school in 2020, during that COVID year, I moved down here in April, and I worked clean through to the start of college, which I go to school down in Charleston, College Charleston. So I got my start at the tackle shop, and that was really what did it for me. I mean, that's how I met all the people I know now, pretty much, and that's how I got my start. And I learned a ton from all the guys that worked in there, and you know, just the charter captains coming in every day. You start picking up on things, and you know, I was fishing a ton, so any day I could get off, I was freelancing or going on my own boat, or my dad would come down on the weekends and we'd go. So I mean, that was just kind of, tackle shop really did it for me. I mean, everyone's got their story of how they got into it, but
I bet when you were in the tackle shop and everybody was coming in, buying new gear, buying new this, you was like,
yeah, it's tough, but I mean, that's what I had to do. I mean, I wasn't fortunate enough to really know anyone. I wasn't from here originally. So at first there's a little bit of resentment from everybody. You know, you don't really have a name. I mean, especially somewhere like Oregon Inlet, it's kind of a cutthroat place. So getting my name out there was, you know, it was tough at first, but I mean, once you get a good reputation, you're pretty good to go. But after the tackle shop 2021, I came back after school for the summer. I got a job on a sport fish boat, and it was a first year program. The guy had a smaller Viking, and then he ended up getting a custom boat. So 57-foot cross weight was the first boat that I worked on. A great rig. I mean, super fishy. So I did that 2021, and then 2022 I worked on a 58 Titan, which was like hull number 1. So that was super cool.
Where was that?
That was here too, Pirates Cove. Both boats were at Pirates Cove Marina, which is like the private boat marina here. We have the Fishing Center, Oregon Inlet Fishing Center, and then Pirates Cove, and then one other in Wanchese. It's like a smaller kind of some private boat. That's where all the boat yards are. Like that's where Bayless is and Blackwell and all that. So it's cool to see that.
I spent plenty of time up there building one of Bayless's I worked on, and
I gotcha.
Say, man, the craftsmanship up in North Carolina and the Outer Banks area is definitely top tier. There ain't no kids there, man.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, if you're around that every day, it's just like you really learn to appreciate it. And I mean,
oh yeah, you work harder.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you see how these guys are doing it. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how I got my start. I mean, everyone's got their way in. I would say that just got to find your in and kind of run with it. But you can do it. It is possible. So for all the guys out there my age, I mean, I'm 20, so
being 20 years old, putting in the work, it pays off. A lot of people don't want to put in the work these days, but it's I hear so many times, oh, your generation this, your generation that. And I'm like, man, don't count all of us in.
Yeah.
Some of us don't care about getting in that bilge, getting in little tight places to clean shit out. I mean, we're willing to put in the work. So it's really cool to hear that somebody else, got appreciated and got a chance to be able to go out there and now make a name for themselves,
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I feel like it kind of helped, honestly, because there's competition, yes, but, because that's the older guys' mindset is, oh, none of these kids want to work anymore. Then when they see someone that's actually putting in the hours and, wants to learn and wants to be there every day, then it helps you because
then they're like,
all
hey,
over that.
When's he free? When's he free? What, can I take him?
Exactly.
It makes a huge difference, and one thing I wanted to ask you about was, talking about all this Outer Banks, Oregon Inlet, you being landlocked and going out of Oregon Inlet so many times now, how was it the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it's hyped up like, oh, it's the worst inlet ever, I mean, I've seen it very bad, but as long as it's not blowing northeast and the tide's not falling, then it's normally not
everybody always
horrible.
asks me, why are you out there when it's so rough? I'm like, as long as I got the guy driving, that's the right guy.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate. I fished with the captain for the last year and a half on the one boat and then transitioned to the other boat. I mean, he was mating here in the 70s. So, I mean, it's just like learn from guys like that. They've seen it all. So you hear stories and it's just like, it's reassuring because they're still here. So,
you hear him talking about the shifting sands and how the bank moves.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, our inlet changes every single day. I mean, you could run out one day and then the next day it's a totally different line. So, it's definitely hairy. And I think there's not as many private boats here as there used to be because, you're going out and hitting bottom every time. People don't want to deal with that. So
yeah, but I don't want anybody to quote me on this, but how many charter boats do you think go out of Oregon Inlet on average during a summer day?
I don't even know. I mean, just from the fishing center alone, probably 25. And that's, I mean, if you go out there like on a day like today, like a decent weather day on a weekday where there's not that many outboards out there's not that many weekend warriors. I mean, you've at least got a fleet of 50 to 60 guys. I mean, and it's tough to wrap your head around, but I mean, it's some serious fishing. The competition every day, I know for me, every day I go fishing feels like, I mean, not a tournament, but I mean, it's like you want to outfish your buddy down the dock. I mean, you want to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just.
I always make, my captain always tells me, man, you talk too much shit. I'm like, I don't care, man. If I'm in a fight and I get knocked the fuck out, I'm saying fuck you on the way down,
Yeah.
I fight until the end.
That's the cool thing about here is you've got that many boats going every single day that you can even get out there. I mean, the charter guys go in anything. So, I mean, unless it's absolutely horrible, they're going. So that's cool. I mean, they stay on top of it. I mean, you've always got to report to base where you're going to go off of. So we've got to.
Like I just talked to 12 different guys. I got a barometer of where to go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a big area, you know. There's some small areas that we fish consistently, but it's a big mass of water out there. So that helps a lot that guys are going pretty much every single day, especially during the summer. But I mean, we do have a really long season. So
Well, from what I
winter
know
break.
about you, from what I know about you, you have a pretty big variety of boats that you've been on. And, you know, between big center consoles, sport fishing boats, you know, custom production, what would you say would be probably the hardest one to take out of Oregon Inlet the day before prep wise?
I mean,
ready from zero.
So, I mean, my family, now we have a 30-foot Grady, 30-foot Canyon, like a 2021. It's pretty brand new. And so that's what I would say most of my experience is on. So, I mean, an outboard boat, absolutely way more prep that goes into it, just because you don't have that salon, you don't have all that storage. You can't, I mean, if the boat's on a trailer, you can't have your rods, you know, in the rod locker. They're just, you know, all your stuff's in a storage unit at one place, and you got to go fuel the boat up, ice the boat up, load all your tackle, rig bait, rig all your tackle. I mean, and it's quite a production. And the breakdown is, you know, it's like to go fishing one day, it's a 3-day process. Absolutely full days on an outboard boat, just because the whole aspect of whether it's on a trailer or not, it's in a slip, you know, what you got to do, you know, the cleaning fish. You can't clean fish at the dock behind the boat. I mean, you got to go find somewhere to clean fish. Just everything is another step. You got 2 steps to do one task. So I would say that, you know, that I just brought my boss this summer. He has a 34 Freeman. So I just brought it up here from Pawleys Island, South Carolina, Georgetown area. We had the boat there for a month. We've been doing a ton of fishing, but we just brought it up here for the month of June for the tuna fishing, to get some work done, getting a FLIR and fixing our radar and doing a few piddly things. But I mean, a boat like that to go fishing, if the boss wants to go fishing one day, I've got a full day of prep, fish day, full day of breakdown, and there's not like a captain. So it's kind of, you know, you're on your own to an extent.
So now you've been on a center console. Obviously, you're on a cat boat quite a bit. How different is it, man?
I mean, I was kind of on the fence about the whole cat thing for a while, but after you ride on it, I don't think there's really a comparison. A monohull versus a cat. I mean, I just rode on that 47 Freeman, and that is a bad rig. I mean, it rides better than most sporties I've been on. So
yeah,
it's definitely
scary.
Yeah. I mean, it hauls. I mean, we were doing like 73 miles an hour in the creek running in. So yeah, it rolls. But I mean, a monohull is great, but when that cat gets up on top, I mean, we can do 45 knots and 3 to 4s just without even thinking about it. So
that's pretty bad.
It's definitely the pick up and run aspect of it. I mean, if we're catching dolphins and we got what we want, and we want to go hit some grouper spot 30 miles away, it's like, all right, let's go. And we can pick up and run like that. And I've never seen a boat that can you don't think about it. She's like, all right, let's go. It's just quick. It gets on plane instantly, and you're just up to 40 knots. And you don't even have time to
the diversity
pee.
that you got, the availability that you got with a center console of that magnitude, definitely is a game changer. But I mean,
yeah,
kind of the norm in North Carolina. I mean, you're going out, you know, tuna fishing, and all of a sudden you're going to switch over to marlin fish, and all of a sudden you run into a pile of dolphin. Now you're switching over to catch dolphin. I mean, to me, it seems like that's the norm. Be ready for everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's one thing that's hard about the outboard boat is storing all that tackle first off, and having all those rods ready. I mean, on a sporty, I've got my bailing poles for dolphin. I've got, you know, my tuna fishing stuff, my marlin fishing stuff. So having that all on a center console boat's pretty tough. So that being said, sometimes you got to stick more to one thing rather than the other versus fishing on a sporty, obviously. But
yeah. Just because of speed-wise, because if a sporty could do the speed that one of them things can do just to switch over stuff, we have everything out. Bottom fishing, I mean, everything could be out. But
Yeah, I mean, it's all your stuff's getting wet. I mean, the center console is not the boat you want to, take the wife and kids. It doesn't got a great bathroom. There's not, the amenities are definitely tough. So
I mean,
those long
if
days,
you got the money to pick and choose, between a center console and a sport fishing boat, yeah, I think the wife would appreciate
Yeah.
the sport fishing boat a lot more.
yeah, exactly. I mean, as a mate, a sport fishing boat is a lot easier because I'm just cleaning the cockpit after a day of fishing. I'm not cleaning where we just drug 50 dolphin up to the coffin box in the front.
Yeah.
So, as far as maintenance goes, obviously a sport fisher is more maintenance, but just
yeah.
that day after of cleanup on an outboard is, if you caught fish, is way, way more intensive. So that's one thing you got to think about, is that breakdown process is quite a day.
I mean, even though you don't have the salon, you don't have the engine room, you don't have all this other stuff, you still, if your boat's on a trailer, if your boat's not at that area, just having to take it out of the water, get it cleaned up, get everything done to it, trailer it back, get it put away. It's a lot of work. Just like you said,
it
3
definitely
days
is.
worth of work to go one day.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're stringing together a few days, I'm sure this weekend, me and my family will be fishing a couple of days in a row. I mean, it's quite a weekend.
20, but keep doing this for 5 more years. I mean, I'm 26 now. I look every bit of 40, man.
Yeah, my back's already killing me.
20 years old and saying your back's killing you. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more stuff's gonna kill you here in a few years.
So
we're talking about the present and about everything you're doing right now, but I want to hear about this slow pitch jigging. It's kind of a new thing for the last year, and I want to hear your take on it.
Yeah, so primarily down in Georgetown and out of Charleston. So I go to school down in Charleston, and one of my really good friends, Michael McGoey, he has a 25-foot Pathfinder, like one of those hybrids with tower. It's super rigged up.
Yeah, 150 grand. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, they're the shit. So we fished that boat a lot while we were in school, and we kind of just stumbled upon this whole jigging thing. So when we're slow pitch jigging, we're normally in 500 plus feet. I would say 450 to 500 feet would be like just where we start to do it. And then out to as deep as 1,000 feet.
Man,
so
you're crazy, hand cranking 1,000.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different than pitch into a blue marlin. I mean, it's a totally different thing. It doesn't even feel like the same sport.
What's your retrieve per crank?
These OSHA jiggers, that's what we use. I don't even know, but they're like 4-to-1 gear ratio, the big one.
Gotcha.
I mean, I can race an LP with a big meat rig on an LP versus my slow pitch jig, and I'm about the same. So
yeah, but
if you're working, you can get it up.
Yeah, well, I can go over to the LP and just hit the button.
Yeah, you definitely you have to have a few
throbbing.
Yeah, you got to have a few anglers on the boat that are switching off on the rod. Normally we fish like one electric and one hand crank rod. But when we're fishing out of Charleston, it's me and a bunch of my young buddies. We're all 21 years old. So
we
love it. But yeah, I mean, we
definitely got that forearm.
The main thing is out in like 700, 800 feet as a snowy groupers. We have a great fishery for them, but you can only keep one per boat per day. So you kind of go out, catch one, then you roll back in, get your scamps and your gags and all the different types of groupers.
You're only allowed to keep one
per boat. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you hope you catch a big one. I mean, we do have these devices, like a descending device that'll send the fish back down, but I really truly don't believe it actually gets them down there. I mean, either a shark's going to get it, or it's just going to kind of sit there in the water column. So you kind of got to make it count. You get one fish, and then you can move back in. You go out there. We normally troll till 12 or 1, and then go bottom fishing. But I mean, I'm just eat up with the bottom fishing. It's something new. I mean, I've caught however many tunas, as many tunas as any man would ever want to catch. So doing that slow pitch jigging is super cool. I mean, the other week I caught a called a long-tail bass, some crazy looking fish. And it was without a doubt a world record. And I just didn't know what it was. The world record's like 6 pounds or something. This thing was every bit of 8 to 10 pounds. So,
Oh wow.
I mean, you just never know what you're going to crank up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a new thing. And I mean, those fish aren't getting much pressure. So
I mean, you're still pitch jigging in 500, 600, 700 feet, sometimes 1,000. How much are you thinking about a shark chasing your shit up?
oh, they do it all the time. I mean, it's kind of like once the sharks catch on to you, you got to move spots. So yeah, as soon as they start sharking you, you're pretty much toast. And I feel like I battle sharks everywhere I go. I mean, out of Oregon Inlet, the sharks are the worst on earth, I would say. I mean,
shit, man, we get bit down here in
yeah, I
Florida
know. Yeah, I
before
mean,
they bite the bait.
we'll hook 8 tunas and every single one will get eaten. So it's just
We'll have I've seen 3 sharks now. We've had a sailfish on our kite, middle, whatever bait it was, and it's circling it, trying to eat the bait, trying to eat it. It's not even hooked up yet. Giant ass bull shark just
live bait.
destroys it. Yeah, live baiting.
Yeah.
Not even hooked up, and it just destroys the sailfish. And I'm like, well,
yeah, that was that.
That one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that we deal with is the sharks. And I find that the more you go inshore, like in that 500-foot area, sharks are way worse than they are out in 900 feet. But, it comes with what you're catching. I mean, the sharks don't like to eat those big snowies as much as they do those smaller scamps or gags. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's normally as much as you can bear. You catch a few and then the sharks get after you, then you move spots. But I mean, I would say South Carolina is like untouched as far as that is concerned. I mean, people do it, but the whole bottom fishing scene is something new to me. I mean, it's just unbelievable, the stuff that you can catch. And I mean,
it's delicious.
Yeah, groupers
Yeah.
I was going to say groupers are the best. So, I mean, we get some big golden tiles and a bunch of cool
And you
stuff.
got some 64s right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a mate for you right there.
Yeah.
Awesome,
But yeah, I love it. So, I mean, our season, like grouper season starts May 1st and then it goes till the end of the year. It's like when I get back down to school, in late August or whatever, we'll definitely be doing a bunch of jigging trips because the trolling bite isn't as good until the fall comes around and we get some good wahoo fishing, good sail fishing. So that's definitely the plan.
So,
But
you talked to him about how your family owns the center console. So do you have any brothers, sisters?
yeah, I've got a younger brother. He actually works at the tackle shop as well. Freelances. He's working on some boat tomorrow, but he's 18 months younger than me. So it's just us two. My dad, I guess he got pretty lucky with that. So I mean,
yeah, he's got 2 free mates.
yeah, exactly. He doesn't have to do anything. I mean, he's great.
I'm in the same situation as you, man. My younger brother's, a mate as well, and even though I make my dad pay me, but it's definitely a lot of fun. So talk to me about your dad because your dad's got 2 free mates. How is he?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my dad, I mean, he's a super fishy guy, of course, but as far as offshore fishing, I mean, if you told him to crimp this or crimp that, he wouldn't want to do it. I mean, he doesn't know all that side of it, but he can drive the hell out of the boat. So that's normally just what he does is once we set out,
I'm sure every second, every moment, every minute that he's out there with you guys, he's having fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, I'd rather go fish with my brother and my dad, 3-man crew than anyone on this earth. And I mean, that's the best days that I've had is just us 3 out there in that center console. I mean, you just can't beat it. That's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, I just I took a job a couple years back, almost 3 years back now, where my dad was the captain, my mom was a stew, and I was the mate.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean it was a little odd,
Yeah, I mean at times,
but it was definitely surreal, to think about it. Fish a tournament where basically everybody except for my brother was on the boat, and the name of the boat was a Hana. So
that's cool.
On the family boat.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
What do you think your dad's favorite fishing is? I
mean, mostly what we do is tuna fishing. That's what we'd all want to catch. I mean, there's nothing like going out there and sacking up a limit of tunas. I mean, we'll go marlin fishing from time to time, but it's normally like I'd say normally on the outboards, I'm pulling like a mixed spread of tuna stuff and marlin stuff. If I'm going to go marlin fishing, I mean, I'm still going to have some out there, which, you get busted off every once in a while, but you can make it work. Normally when we're tuna fishing on the center consoles, we're pulling a full spread of sea witches or like maybe 1 or 2 chains out there, but we keep it simple. Long fluorocarbon leaders here. I mean, you can pull
6 or 8 rods.
What?
6 or 8 rods.
I mean, you can pull like 11 or 12, but I mean, when it's only 3 or 4 people on the boat, you keep it to 8 or 9.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why I said 6 to 8 because I'm thinking,
yeah,
2 rods per person. I mean,
yeah, I mean that's the nice thing though. You go out there and you get hit, or we call it a wham. If you get whammed twice, then you got your limit. You're good. So
that's nice.
I mean, I think we've caught like 7 maybe with the 3 of us at one time, 6 or 7 fish. So yeah, off of 1 hit. So I mean, now we've got 580s on my boat, which helps because you kind of winch them in. But I'd rather fish an 80 than a 50 because getting in that stand-up belt on a big eye is not fun.
It is not fun.
Done that enough times where I'm like, yeah, I think we should get a few more 80s.
That's why when you're a mate and you're like, all right, it's hooked up here.
Yeah, you take the rod. Yeah, I mean,
talk about this Chesapeake Bay stuff.
So the sight casting for cobia is like, what I got my start on. I mean, it's like hunting basically. Yeah, it's like, I would call it hunting in a boat. It kind of blew up after we had done it for probably 10 years. And now it's to the point where, there'd be hundreds of boats out there on one day, just sight casting for cobia. And big bull drum, like a big red drum, they're up on the top as well, like in big schools. So, when you're cobia fishing, you could run across a school of, 3 acres of drum, which is super cool. You can't keep them, you got to release them. But I mean, we're just throwing bucktails on like 8K Saragosas, like the best setup with the pretty stout rod. But yeah, I mean, coming from that into fishing with blue marlins is definitely a big difference, but there's all similarities in it. I mean, after all, you're still looking for a fish. So
well, I got a pretty funny thing for you. Since you got like 100 boats going in the bay and everything. I was in Ocean City 5 years ago, and I had a buddy of mine that had a pontoon boat, and he had like a 20-foot ladder where 2 guys climb up the 20-foot ladder just sightseeing for the cobias. Did you see any stuff like that up there?
Oh, we see stuff like that all the time. I mean, ladders like against the console. I mean, just stuff that should not be out there. But I mean, it works. I mean, I would say that's the one thing. You can go out there and about anything and catch a cobia. So, I mean, you can go out and pretty much anything out of here on the right day and go catch tunas. You don't need something crazy, but I mean, I have seen some rigs and I'm like, those guys are going to fall off of that ladder without a doubt. They just have to.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, they've got like walkie talkies. I mean, people pull out everything in the book to try to communicate, to like shout down. We've tried
from the
all
top
of
the ladder.
Yeah, like if you don't have like controls. I mean, if you don't have a tower, obviously, there's so much screaming and yelling if you don't have controls. So people try everything in the book. But that fish, I mean, I haven't even been up to the bay in probably 3 or 4 years. I mean, it kind of went up and then came down. I mean, it's still good, but we were having days where we were catching, 20 fish and seeing over 100. So now it's doesn't really compare to that. I mean, some days if you get lucky, but it's not the same.
We get more and more people are getting into everything,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you go out there on a good day out of Oregon Inland, there's 300 boats. So 300 boats out, on the point, whatever, 40 miles from land, because it's accessible for everybody, which is nice. It's good and bad at the same time. I mean,
yeah, I'm glad people are getting out fishing.
Yeah, I mean, I love it for the industry, but
I'd rather see them get on, our boys in the charter business. I'd rather see them get booked up the whole summer than to have everybody and their cousin on a 17-foot Boston whaler out there.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have a problem with getting booked on charters here, but
Yeah.
you would like to see them on something a little better. It's just not safe, but
No, man. Safety wise, I don't know if I'd
yeah.
like to be out there on anything under like 25 and 2 engine.
Yeah.
If I lose my single screw, now
Yeah.
what?
I mean, we had the 25, now we have the 30. And I would say that, 24, 25 is about, on a good day, is about where you want to be. That would be the low end. And then, anything up from there, you're pretty much good. But going out there in a 20-foot bay boat is a little bit too risky for my liking.
So,
yeah. So,
you were in the tackle shop. Now your brother's in the tackle shop. How competitive are you two?
well, we're very competitive. I mean, we used to be really bad, but we still get into it from time to time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 20 and he's 19, so we're only like a year apart. But definitely very competitive. But we've learned to work together. I mean, we'll sit here all night and rig tackle, and
That's
it's just a trust thing. I mean, normally I'll do all the tackle stuff if we're gonna go, and then he'll do all the boatwork stuff, rig bait, like we just keep it.
Have him clean, have him do all that stuff. You'll stay.
Yeah, and I get to do the easy
same
part.
thing to my brother.
Yeah, older brother, you got to. But I mean, I'm not sure exactly what path he'll take, but I mean, he loves the setup he's got right now. He's pretty much got it made. He can fish when he wants and work on, hop around on boats, and he's loving it. So
that's awesome.
Good for him. Yeah, definitely.
Well,
but
what's next in store, man?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, I would say long term. I don't want to fish the rest of my life. I want to eventually be the one having the boat. So that's kind of the path that I'm going towards. I'll graduate from college in the May of next year, so that'll be good. I'm not sure after that. Yeah,
you're graduating early.
Well, no, I'm a rising senior. I'm just young for my grade. So
perfect, man. We got a lot in common. I skipped 2 grades. I graduated high school when I was 14, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, the rest of the summer we'll have the 34 Freeman here till probably the start of July. Then we'll probably take it on down to the Bahamas, down to Abaco. And my boss and his family, they do a lot of like spear fishing, like diving. That's their big thing. They love that. So I've never really gotten into it, but I'm sure it's coming down the pipe. So we'll be here tuna fishing for at least a solid month.
You gotta do it once, let yourself get chased by a lemon shark or something, and then you'll never do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're crazy, but you gotta respect it. I mean, they kill them. So we'll be here for a little bit, move on down, and then I gotta go back to school in August. I mean, I haven't gotten to do a ton of traveling just because of that. Get all these offers to go fish cool places, and it's like, oh, I gotta go back to school. So
you got
maybe after I graduate, I'll travel around. Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe after school I'll do a little bit of traveling, but I'm not sure.
20 years old, bro. If you're gonna graduate next year at 21, you can own your own boat. I don't know what kind of business or what you're trying to do or whatever, but own a boat by 35, and
that's the plan.
do what you're already doing. Just you'll have 2 little grunt workers for you.
Exactly.
You just hop on the boat with your Grundens.
Yeah, hopefully me and my brother have a Spencer boat or Bayless someday. That's the goal. Yeah. So that 59 Spencer range, 62, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I built the 62 Bayless. It's called the Game Changers down in Charleston.
Okay, yeah.
And it's safe to say that obviously there's gonna be a lot of controversy here, but there's nothing like a Carolina boat, man.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean,
nothing like it.
If you just go in that boatyard and see how the attention to detail is unbelievable. I mean, there's no comparison really.
I mean, I've always been used to the boatyards down in Costa Rica, where the guys are jumping in for $5 into crocodile infested waters to put the planks on the boat to haul it out, and everybody's doing everything by hand, and rust is everywhere. It's crazy stuff. And then I go to Bayless and it's like everybody's cleaning their stations, everybody's doing their job. Damn, this is crazy. And then to have another boatyard right next to it, another one right next to it, another one right next to it, and all of them be legendary is definitely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw them put a tower on the Tar Heel, the 62 today. Just like driving down the street, and just coming back from my boat, and they're just doing that right in the middle of the day. So it's cool to see stuff like that going on.
Yeah, I fished on the Tar Heel in 2020 in Mexico.
I gotcha.
That was pretty cool. We had John up in Mag Bay, and we all had our ear techs or whatever. And I'd gone the year before and caught a boatload of them in a week. We caught 946 in a week, and went up there with John. The next year for 3 days, and John's got his sonar down and that good old boy voice, and he's like, "Man, what the hell do I do?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So, I got a group over here. I got a group over here. Which one do I turn to?
Yeah.
You got the best problem in the world. You got too many fish.
Exactly.
Which one to chase?
Yeah. I mean, I need to go experience stuff like that. I need to go somewhere with some mountains in the background when you're set out.
It's totally different, I haven't fished that much at Oregon Inlet and Ocean City and all these other places, but it's definitely eye-opening because a guy coming from those places with the mountains in the background definitely makes you appreciate back home. Like I just fished the custom versus production about 3-4 weeks ago, and the last was every bit of 14 foot. And I had another Costa Rican with me, and he's beating his chest the first hour. It's pouring down rain, blowing 30 knots, and then all of a sudden, an hour later, he's like, "Dude, I think I got grade 2 hypothermia." And I'm like, "I told you to put bibs on and everything else."
I mean, y'all are used to like a pond out there, so that was probably crazy.
I can have the same pairs of shoes all day, be completely dry.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a lot different than Oregon Inlet, but
yeah.
Sheesh. I have another thing for you. This whole center console game and slow pitch jigging, since you've been in it, how much do you think it's drastically changed? And the amount of people doing it, and how much more knowledgeable people are?
I mean, it's definitely, there's still, I mean, at least just South Carolina, for example. I mean, it seems like you go out there and there's every single day you go fish, there's 10 new boats that you've never seen before that are, fully rigged up boats, like center consoles. They're in that 30 to 40 foot range that are just, I mean, they're $500,000+ outfits that just, everyone's got them now. It's crazy. I mean, people are starting to get good, but I mean, there will never be, a center console will never compare to a sporty. I mean, you just can't. I mean, I got here and fish my center console beside, these charter boats. And if I get half the bites they do, then I'm like, all right, I did well. But I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I think it's good for the industry, but South Carolina is pretty much dominated by all those center consoles. I mean, the amount of center consoles compared to the amount of sport fishers you see out there on any given day is 5 to 1, if not 8 to 1. I mean, it's just not even comparable. Whereas here, there's definitely a lot more sport fishing boats. But I mean, the center consoles
game there.
Yeah, I mean, center console boat is great, but when it really hits the fan, it's you don't want to. That whole it's always in the back of your head, like it could kick up to whatever right now and it would be horrible. So I mean, that's the big thing, and it's the storage and being able to get out of the elements. I mean, it's just
huge.
Yeah, you're out on that deck all day long, and you can't, no one can go inside. There's no hiding, which is nice because your anglers are more involved. I have found that based on working on a sport fishing boat, there's guys inside all day that never come out, it seems like. And then, you've got these guys that are on the center consoles. I mean, it seems like they want to be involved because I guess they have to be, that are right there.
I mean, they're right there.
Yeah. So
you either push them out of the way or be like, grab a gaff.
Exactly. So I would say that's a big thing, is it does seem like the guys, they want to be involved, I guess, because they're right there. But I mean, I would rather fish on a sport fishing boat just as a mate. But gotta do what you gotta do.
Does your dad's boat have a name?
Not really. I mean,
You
we
guys
don't
don't
really
call
have
it
a name
anything?
for it. No.
So my question to you is, since you want to own a sport fishing boat here, the next 15 years, who's going to run the boat, you or your dad?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have a ton of experience up in the bridge at all, so I'm not sure. I mean, it would be awesome if eventually my dad could run the boat. That would be, I guess a dream
Sick.
come true. But I don't know if I mean, he could take all that responsibility, but I mean, I'm not really sure. We haven't thought that far into it.
Yeah,
But I love fishing, but I want to be on the other side of things, I guess you could say. So
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, if all else fails, then
There's always
I
fishing
know,
for sure.
yeah, I know I got something, but the end goal would be to definitely own a boat. So that's what I'm working
What would you
towards, at
say?
least.
What would you say now? What was the best memory on the 25 Grady that you had, and this 30 Grady that you have now?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, just off the top of my head, I guess this time last year, me, my dad, and my brother, just us three, um, out of Oregon Inlet, we went out there on a day when no one was really catching, everyone's catching just limits of yellowfin and stuff. And we caught two big eyes and one passed and had like an 80, 90 pound yellowfin and finished off our limit. I mean, just days like that, just us three on the boat. And you can't beat that's world-class fishing. You just can't beat it. So, I mean, that's definitely sticks out of my head for the 30-footer. But I mean, we had days on the 25 where one day we had like two big wahoos and a couple yellowfins in the 60, 70 pound range. I mean, the meat fishing is what we're about. So at least when we go on the outboard boats, it's
In
fun.
Oregon Inlet, there's plenty of it out there.
Yeah. I mean, one pass, you could hook up 80-pound wahoo. Next pass, you just get covered up by big eyes. You just never know what it's going to be,
I
which is
love it
what
when
I
I
like
hear
about it.
up there, guys that obviously some guys are single screw boats and they leave really early, but sometimes when I used to see boats coming in at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning,
Oh, yeah.
and you're like, everything all right? They're like,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
good.
We're always like, oh, we're in for lunch.
Exactly.
Let's go get lunch. That's the whole thing. I feel like, I mean, it's when the fishing's good, it's like a competition, like who can get out there, set out, get whammed, and then get back in as quick as you possibly can. I mean, as a mate, it's great because you get to get back in and hang out, and then you're off at a respectable hour.
Everybody catching,
Being at it all
most of their
day.
limits pretty much every day, and so many boats. How much regulation is there actually there, like coming down the charter dock? And
I mean, there's definitely the regulation's definitely there. I mean, the limit is 3 per person. So on a 6-pack charter boat, the limit's 18. I mean, you can't really fit more than 18 if they're big tunas. You're cramming it full. But there's definitely, I mean, at the ramps and at the fishing center, there's guys walking because they know that's what's going on.
yeah.
I mean, at the game wardens or whatever, the DNR, and they're aware. They got to be. But I mean, who knows? I mean, can all this killing really go on? I mean, it's been going on for years, so we still have great fishery. I don't know who's to say that.
It's definitely a little tough to see, since I've grown up, since I've moved to Florida, I've seen the fishery in Florida change just in the last 10 years, and my captain is from Charleston. He told me what Charleston used to be and what it is now, how they used to see yellow fins and now they see black fins, and it's how it's all changed so much drastically. And from what you tell me, if you can see 300 boats or 100 boats out there on a good day where everybody and their cousins out there, you gotta think that fishery is getting hammered.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like a minor in sustainability, so like there's part of me that's like, I think about that and I'm like, oh.
And then when you got 6
brutal.
on, you're like, kill them all.
Yeah, exactly. Then once you get out there, you want to kill everything that swims.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you would hate to see it deteriorate, but it's definitely a possibility.
But there's definitely one thing that we can't deny is the bug that's in us at this age. It's almost, you can't catch enough. You can't kill enough.
Yeah.
All right. We had a great day today.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go ahead it again.
Let's go do it again.
I mean, I guess maybe 3 weeks ago, we pulled up on we had caught like 8 gaffers on the troll and then pull up on a pallet and sat there for like I don't know, we drifted like 3 miles and the fish stayed with us the whole time. And we were catching 20 to 40 pound gaffer dolphin on spinning reels. And it's just like mayhem. And I mean, you just leave them by the hundreds. You're like, all right, we can't keep anymore. We're done. You got like 50 or whatever it is, the boat limit 54. So we're like, all right, we're done. But I mean, stuff like that. It's like, all right, let's go tomorrow. 54. Yeah, now it is. So
A lot of freaking.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, we used to be able to keep like, I don't even know how many. Like, I think it was like 10 or 15 per person. Yeah. You're sitting there the next day, just the whole day. But
that's a fun day though, to be able to
in
go
the moment. Yeah. In the moment, you don't even think about it. You're like, all right, yeah.
just fill the box. But it's got to be pretty
exactly.
cool to be able to be at the cleaning station or cleaning table, next to your dad, your brother, and doing all that stuff, man. It truly shows that, in our generation, there's still a lot of guys that have that bug, that have that drive, especially you doing all this stuff during the summer and then going to school and getting right back into it.
Yeah. It's like I finished exams on a Wednesday and I was driving up the next morning after moving out of my apartment up to go fishing with the boss, like instantly. So yeah, like
they were waiting on you like this. When's he gonna get?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I like to go hard, but sometimes like, all right, I need to sit back and hang out with my buddies and, be a kid for once. But, when you're in the moment, it's like, all right, I'm just going to go as hard as I can for the summer. You can do anything for 3 months. My dad is always like, oh, you can do anything for the summer. Go as hard as you can. And then once you get to school, relax a little bit. Then when I'm at school, I want to fish every single time. Not have an exam.
Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I mean, I'm fortunate to have a bunch of friends that they're just as eat up with it as I am. So, I mean, they want to go any waking second they can. So it's I mean, the culture here is awesome. And, culture in Charleston's same way. It's a little bit different, but, it's still great. I mean, my buddies here just as eat up with it as the guys down in Charleston. So, and especially like seeing all these kids from all up and down the East Coast that go to school with me. I mean, most of the kids I fish with are from like New York. So it's cool to see like their fishery and what they do. And then, getting to show, them College Charleston, like downtown.
Gotcha.
So living downtown, it's great. I mean, the whole social scene there is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of women. So
hey, and if you don't have them raccoon eyes,
yeah.
Going downtown.
I normally do. So
there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. If you don't got them raccoon eyes, it's like a teaser,
Oh yeah. Yeah. They love it.
That's
but
cool.
Yeah. So you said that your captain's from Charleston?
My old captain is from Charleston.
Oh, okay. Do you ever get back up that way anymore?
Not anymore since I got off of that program a few years back. I don't know if you know quite a bit of the sport fishing boats down there.
I mean, yeah, a good number of them.
You know the Jabes?
No, I do not.
He used to run that, but now, the Karamba?
Yeah. They're one of their older boats in the yard over there right now.
Yeah, so my boss owned the Karamba, well, both of them. And now he owns that Bayless, that 62.
Okay.
Called the Game Changer.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's a rig for sure.
Yeah, and he's got a bunch of, property everywhere, and they hired me because they're going to spend some time in the Pacific and, Costa Rica, Cabo, that whole scene. I mean, it was pretty epic. First time meeting the boss, first time meeting Ben actually was right there. I just left the Mid-Atlantic, drove from Ocean City all the way down, drove from Ocean City to Wanchese, got on the boat. The next morning, we brought the boat down to Charleston and then Charleston, Palm Beach, loaded it on the ship the next day after that. And then 6 days later, met it in La Paz in Cabo in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Loaded it, got to the marina. 3 days later, there was a storm that rolled through that year, and nobody was allowed to do anything. You weren't allowed to leave the port. My boss just flew in. First time there. I rigged 550 baits.
Yeah.
And I put 150 baits away. I had 400 in the cooler, and we're all set up. I pulled all my 20s, all my 25s out, just ready. My boss is like, all right, let's go up there, and went up there and finally got up there the first afternoon, man, and we caught 80 in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Next day we go back in. I rig another 100 baits. You know, we went through 100 baits. Go in, hang out. The next morning, we didn't see a fish until 10, 9:30, 10-ish. And I probably don't remember anything from like 11:30 to 3:30. Because by 3:45-ish, we released 200.
That's insane. Yeah.
Imagine, and we learned so much stuff because when you're in so many situations, you know,
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing everything
seeing every
possibly happen.
situation ever. So our lines were going underneath the bow, sonar tubes down, and the fish is jumping on the opposite side that the guy's fishing as is, and it would get stuck on a sonar tube, so it would never get in our wheels.
Oh, really?
So we could go forward, we could do anything,
Yeah.
and the fish could be on the other side jumping, but we'd be fine with it because the sonar tube stopped it right before the wheels.
Had it. Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, we saw so many situations. It was crazy. And, you know, having all these guys from Charleston on the boat was eye-opening because I've met guys, but never spent, you know, when you spend that much time
Yeah.
with guys, you really get to know where they're from and, you know, how they act, how they talk. And by the time I got back home, my wife was like, you need to get rid of this twang.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like even coming from Virginia and then you come down there, you know, it's totally different crowd of people. I mean, I love it. It's cool, but definitely interesting. So
it's pretty
yeah.
surreal. Nah, man,
Yeah.
I'm super, super, super stoked to listen to your story. But I just have one last thing I really, really want to know is the first time you went out on a sporty and you had your day, what was your thought? Like you just know that you were on $1 million boat, you went out fishing, caught fish, and you got paid for it.
I mean, it's good and bad. It was good and bad for me because after that, you know, your perspective totally changes on the whole thing. I mean, I always tell kids or people my age, it's like, dude, the first day you go out there and you get paid to go fishing, it totally changes for the rest of your life. I mean, you never look at it the same way. Like even when I go fun fishing, it's never the same. It's like, oh, like I could actually be working on a boat right now instead of
made money
fun fishing. So
yeah.
I mean that aspect of it, I guess, is bad in a sense. But from a kid, you know, it was always like my goal was to, you know, oh, I want to work on those boats. Like what's going on that thing? So that was super cool. And I mean, not being from here and then coming and kind of being a transplant and making it, you know, that's what it's all about.
I mean, just for you to come down in the summer and being in the tackle shop, to hopping on boats, it takes a lot of balls to be able to be like, yo, take me fishing.
Yeah.
You know, I'll do it for free. Just teach me.
Exactly. That's the thing I would say to like people that are getting their start. I mean, you can't be afraid you just got to ride out and do as much as you can. I mean, you can't be sitting there like, oh, I should have gotten paid for today. I mean, you got to be like, all right, what did I learn from today? What did I gain from this experience that, you know, this mate that's working on this boat, he doesn't need to take me out with him. He doesn't, you know, it was more work for him trying to teach me than if he had just had a normal day. So you got to be very grateful for that. And I mean, there's no denying that when you put in that extra time and when you're there till 8, 9 o'clock at night, cleaning the boat or doing whatever, those extra steps, I mean, that does not go unnoticed. I don't care where you are, what boat you're on, someone's always watching you.
Oh yeah, that's why, you know, I always tell these younger guys, you know, no matter what you're doing, you know, be presentable, be respectful, because there's always somebody that can.
Especially like around here. I mean, whoever you meet, I mean, you don't know if they know somebody that owns a boat or whatever. I mean, you could meet somebody at the gas station and it ends up being
an owner,
you know, a job. I mean, yeah, literally. So
owner, a captain.
I mean, most of these guys that are in this area, they're affiliated in some way, shape, or form with someone that's doing something to do with sport fishing. So you never know who's watching. So that would be the thing I would say for the younger generation, would just be you gotta have your head on a swivel and be paying attention to what's going on. I mean, if that's what you want to do is work on boats, and you gotta everything you do has to be catered towards the end goal. So, I mean, whatever your path is, I mean, whether it's washing boats, walking the dock, just being there. That's how it was in the old days. You had to walk the dock and, make your face known. And I think it's definitely changed a little bit. There's a lot different ways that you can go about it and get your end. But I mean, everyone's story is different. So, I mean, whatever you do, you just got to stick with it and kind of run with it. But still possible. You can weasel your way in pretty much anywhere you go as long as you stick with it. So
a few last things I want to point out is, it's really nice to hear the words you say about what to tell these other guys if they really want to do this, is put in the work, stick with it, be respectful. It's nice to hear that, from a different part of the world, than what I'm from, or, where I'm around. And man, it's truly been a pleasure talking to you, dude. And I wish you the best, and hopefully someday you can teach me how to slow pitch jig, because I have no idea.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I watch every single one of these things, so it's definitely cool to be on here talking right now. But
dude, you know how much knowledge and insight you've given all these younger guys, in their teens that really want to get into this, that they need to understand all this stuff. So we really do appreciate you here in the State of Sportfishing Podcast, man. And with that, I just want to say, let us know what you guys think, share, like, and I appreciate it, Tye, for everything you've done for us, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll be in touch.
Yes, sir, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Bye.